All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Catherine Cooley, and if you're here to learn a little bit about the Southwest Fire Restriction websites, you're in the right spot. So, welcome, everyone. I'm happy to introduce Kenny Jaramillo and Francisco Salazar. And after I give them their little bios, find out a little bit more about our speakers, we'll dive right in. So Kenny is a wetland urban interface prevention specialist for the BIA Southwest, Western, and Navajo regions. He's responsible for assisting with the development of wildfire prevention plans, providing technical assistance, support, and oversight of prevention programs to the tribes and agencies within the three regions. Began his career in 1992, working in various aspects of operations before taking on prevention in 2012. He currently sits on the NWCG Communication, Education, and Prevention Committee, is also the chair of the Southwest Fire Prevention Information Committee, and also participates in fire prevention education teams, along with being qualified as a fire investigator. He enjoys working in prevention and with a variety of challenges and unique opportunities that arise. He lives in Isleta Pueblo, New Mexico, with his wife, the three girls, and enjoys family time, hunting, and being outdoors. Our co-presenter is Francisco Salazar. He is the Co-op Fire Prevention Program Manager for the U.S. Forest Service Southwest Region. And a program manager, he earned his Bachelor's of Science in Biology from the University of New Mexico and has over 15 years of fire experience consisting of time on the County Volunteer Fire Department, on Municipal Fire Department, and with the U.S. Forest Service working in Regions 2, 3, and 4 and 9. Francisco's federal service also includes 5 years of experience working for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as well as a natural resource management specialist conducting environmental compliance and serving as a project manager throughout New Mexico and Colorado. So welcome, gentlemen. I'm going to give you guys a 5-minute warning to allow for some questions. So gentlemen, take it away.
All right, and thank you. Welcome, everybody. We kind of covered the objectives here. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. Just kind of want to cover for our presentation. We're going to give you a brief history of the fire restrictions. Originally had the firerestrictions.gov, the new Southwest Fire Restrictions AGL site overview, who maintains it, and then also what's next. So I'm going to jump right into the next slide, Francisco. So previously on this was the old fire restrictions website that the Southwest and I believe the other GACs that included was a part of the Northern Rockies and part of the Great Basin. This is a screenshot here of the previous site and what the end user would see to kind of highlight the colored areas would indicate where fire restrictions were in place. But in the fall of 2020, we lost the URL license, was renewed and was lost. It was actually taken over by another site. So if you go to it, you go to it now, you go end up at a gambling site. So it was taken over pretty quickly. So we couldn't get it back, and found out, after all that, it wasn't even an officially sanctioned Forest Service site. It was someone who's paying out of pocket there, using their funds to maintain it. So the site was lost, and after discussion with what options we wanted to move on with the executive members of the Southwest Fire Prevention Information Committee, we determined that a new site was needed to be developed to replace this old site. So go ahead and jump to the next site there. Okay, so part of the Southwest Fire Restrictions Committee developed a fire restrictions working group, a subcommittee that was, and this effort was led by Carrie Dennett with the BLM of Arizona. She really put the group together and kept everything on task. We had good agency participation. Each representatives from BIA, BLM, Forest Service, the Mexico State, Arizona State, Park Service. Like I said, we had a lot of good representation, and we developed an aggressive, move. We wanted to build the site. We gave it I think a timeline of 4 months to build the site. So that was, it was a big tasking, but part of what worked. I think that the success of that was having all the agencies were at the table. We, that I don't want to think, the group has a good good communication and a good working relationship with each other. And I think that was part of that success was having that partnership and good collaboration. Part of the group, I also developed was a GIS subcommittee, bringing in GIS specialists from each agency who would provide their mapping data and provide. We had briefings and meetings with with the different groups and as wanting to, what the requirements were. And part of we they come up with in developing the site was um, a list of wants or needs that we wanted to have on there. Kind of we wanted something that was easy to use, update, input, easy for the public to use, simple mapping displays, minimal training involved. Some things on the map, we identified a needs for a map. We wanted something that's zoomable, the typical colors for the ownership. Same thing, we wanted the color coding to indicate whether agencies were in restrictions or not, and incorporate lands that had to incorporate lands that were outside because our geographic boundaries didn't lie. They didn't lie to multiple states, parts of California, Utah, Nevada, something that would incorporate all of that. Other things that we wanted was, uh, identification, definitions of restrictions, clip pop-up boxes. So all these things were laid out, the technological requirements, mobile friendly, has to meet the accessibility requirements, um, links to other agency websites. So there's a whole list that was developed, and we took this forward, and what was actually doable, what wasn't. And then we had the Jeff Adams with the Fish and Walleye Service. He came up and developed this on the NIFC ArcGIS Online, the AGOL site, and they built the map, and it's a the AGOL is a cloud-based mapping and analysis solution. It's a use to make maps, analyze data, and this format is what worked best for us. Um, and so once that map was built, and at the same time they put together a PIO subcommittee uh, that worked together to develop a whole communication plans, a rollout of how we wanted. We're going to get this out to the public, and that group, they worked on doing press releases, tweets, different types of information graphics, and before it rolled out, they had coming soon, and utilized on the different social media platforms. So that was as a big task, but like I said, everything uh, went went well, and uh, in rolling it out. And I think we did actually meet the 4 month deadline there. We started rolling it out and did trainings on users and how to access or how to edit the site. So from there, so that's a little bit about how we of the current site, the working group, and how it kind of came to be, and developing it there. So I'll transition over to you, Francisco.
All right, thanks, Kenny.
Mhm.
All right, so here is our finished product. This is what we were able to come up with in a very short amount of time, and I really think that shows the solid coordination, good communication that we have within our Southwest Information and Prevention Subcommittee, and that is a subcommittee under our Southwest Coordinating Group. So I think it was really vital that we had a representative from all the federal agencies as well as our two states on that committee to make this happen. So like Kenny mentioned before, this is built using ArcGIS Online, and it is under NIFC, geez, I'm drawing a blank, right? Interagency Fire Center. So that's where we chose to build this, someplace where everybody can log into and update information as needed. One hiccup we ran into with our accelerated time frame was obtaining a .gov website where the public can go to and access this information. So our workaround was we embedded this information or links to get to this site in a couple well-established sites that the state already had developed that we all share information on. So the first way to get to the AGOL site that we developed is through our NewMexicoFireInfo.com. So we all have the ability to update fire information here. This site is well visited. Everyone knows about it. And then when you click on this fire restrictions icon here on the right, it brings you down to this interactive map. And when you click on the interactive map, it connects you to our AGOL website. For the state of Arizona, we also dropped we were able to actually embed a map on their website. And that's what's cool about this AGOL is you can share this links, you can embed maps on any of our cooperators websites if they asked for it. But when you log into the Arizona's website, under fire restrictions right here, you click and it pulls up the actual embedded interactive map where they can find all the information on fire restrictions within our region. So one thing I don't think we directly mentioned before is, we have a lot of different agencies that we all have our own restrictions, and a lot of us are our own language with different authorities that we can that we work under for our restrictions. But we found that there is definitely a need to have a one-stop shop where the public can grab this information. So that was the importance of this website. It was basically just a one-stop shop. So next I'm going to show you a little bit of the features within the website, what you can actually do there. So you'll notice tabs on the bottom here. So when you open the website, it automatically opens the fire restrictions map. That's what you see here. And next tab over is just some general information or disclaimer. And then also some definitions that we try to agree on as much as possible. What is a stage 1 fire restriction? What is a stage 2 restriction? Like I said before, we operate under different authorities, so some of our language might not match exactly, but we try to work the best we can with each other. And it's been working really well. Next link over is the agency links. So here, anybody could grab more information on any of our federal or state agencies. Next link over is the instructions tab, how people can use this website to get at the information they need. And then the third link lists our year-round fire restrictions. So since this is all being showed geospatially in different layers, we didn't want to show all of the year-round restrictions because they'll cover up our seasonal restrictions that we go in and out to. So for year-round restrictions, folks come here and they can pull restrictions that we are in year-round for each of the other agencies. All right, so going back to the home page here, you'll notice some different colors. The way we chose to do it is highlighted yellow are areas that are under stage 1 fire restrictions, highlighted orange are stage 2 fire restrictions, and red areas are places where we are under full closure. For example, a forest closure. So that's how you can see what restrictions are where. And then when you click on any one of these areas, a little pop-up box will show up. And it shows you a little bit of information, what stage that area is under. You have the ability to put a link here to a website, or you'll see, I'll show you shortly, for BIA, one thing they did is they connected that link directly to the forest order, or their restriction order. So when you click on that, the actual order comes up. The way we handled it on our Forest Service side is we linked that to our Forest Service website where we list all of our restrictions. So it could be used either way. And then we also have a start date and end date and a little bit of details on what those restrictions are under notes. So when I click on that view under website, it'll pop up the actual fire restriction. So here's the restriction for Navajo Nation's implementation of Stage 1 fire restrictions. So you can actually read all the details. If there's any exceptions to that restriction, anything you need, this is the actual order itself. And then, like I said before, the way we did it on the Forest Service website is it brings you to our alerts and notice tab for the individual forest website, where all of the fire restrictions are listed under alerts. They're on the right-hand side of the screen. Another really nice part about using this AGOL platform is, for at least for all of our region, that's what we use to update our maps on our Forest Service webpage. So you'll notice this map here. This is built in AGOL. So when we update our map right here, it automatically feeds into the AGOL fire restrictions website map. So it's real time. That connection happens immediately. So as soon as we sign the forest order, we send it to our GIS shop to post here. It gets uploaded immediately to the website and everyone can view it, which is really awesome. It definitely makes it easy on our end since it's the same platform. And then I'm going to hand it back to Kenny, and he's going to show how the other agencies are able to edit this information and show how easy it is to do.
All right. Thanks, Francisco. Yeah, part of what, in developing the site was making it user friendly, for the different, identify different editors or in the different dispatch, the different zones that, who's going to be responsible for editing and making edits. And we wanted something that was simple and easy to use or quick. And that's what was really nice about this site is that everybody that, is an editor would have to have a NIFC AGOL account. And, once they had that access to that, it could be made, really quickly. Pictured above, what you're seeing here in this picture here is, is what the user would see when they go into the editing site. So once they're in there, they come up to the editing map. This is where you would select your land management area that you're going to, or the administrative district that you're going to be putting the restrictions in. So like that, like Francisco mentioned, for the Forest Service, they have a little different way of doing it that he showed there. But this is for rather use other agencies. This is what how we're following. Go ahead and click the next slide there. So on here you want to click the you can see the different map background, the different administrative boundaries there. So you would want to highlight which district that you're in for which which management agency that you're going in. So you want to zoom in, locate the jurisdictional boundaries. Once you appear and you can see the different agencies, and then go ahead and select the next slide. So once you select the site, the administrative site, you can see that it's highlighted. There's a box that pops up, and you would see the area that the administrative unit that you're putting restrictions in. When it's got that blue highlight around it, so you know which unit you're working in, and also identifies on the top there. Then on the bottom right, you will see the three dots, the circle in red there. So you would click there, and you would click the edit box on there. Then you would be clicking edit. So once that's selected, an editing box will appear. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And this is that same information that Francisco was showing that the public sees on there. So and it's got drop down boxes for the stages. The 5 attributes that can be that can be edited and modified in there. You would select the stage. You would click this drop down box. You would select stage 1, 2, or closures. You can add the website in there, or a link to where the restriction letter is posted, or agency. You would enter the website, the start date, and the end date. Sometimes maybe they're in effect for but a lot of them are open ended, so sometimes they may not have that end date. And then any notes you wanted to put in there, you would enter but for more information, you contact or anything specific, or that could be entered in there as well. That's something we want to you could add in there. Go ahead and go to the next slide there. Let's see. Yeah, and that's that drop down box there I was talking about. You hit the little drop down areas, and that's where you would find that information, be able to select. Next slide. Then you'd want to exit once that information has been entered, you would hit select close to exit the edit box. And then that's the click the X to exit the function on the side panel. Go ahead and next slide. And then you'd want to go back in and verify your edits. You see you highlight the administrative boundary that you're looking at, and you can see down below there that blue highlight, the land management, the land agency. The agency would be the boundary be highlighted, and you can see your restrictions information in there. So that would basically be completing your edits. It can be done fairly quickly. Depend on websites pulling information in, but it's really user friendly, and that's kind of what we're striving for when we were developing this site. Just a couple notes on the site was that we're looking at the agencies. The counties would be in gray, but the counties were included under their state, and on this site, we didn't go down to the municipalities weren't they weren't included. Like the site was developed in like I said 4 months time, and is a little bit different because of their restrictions, how they go in to monitor, but we didn't get down to that level. So we kind of incorporated the counties under the state level. And after this, we've kind of identified there's some map layers that are overlapping land management agencies. So there's a few bugs that we're have to go in and clean up at the end of the year, but we're going to go back and we'll look at addressing those as well. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So what comes next? What's the future plans here? Nationally, fire restrictions information for, each geographic area, it's hosted on various websites, in various different formats. That one thing that we're seeing is there's not a one-stop location to view fire restrictions nationally. We got them for the geographic areas, but nationally, you wanted to see another one, you got to dig around. There's not a one-stop shop for this. So currently, the Southwest fire restrictions are on the NIFC AGOL site, and as Francisco mentioned, the links are embedded to the wildlandfireaz.gov and NewMexicoFireInfo.com pages. So with that, with it being on that AGOL site, I think that, the map could be embedded in different locations. So, currently like I said, the National Wildland Coordinating Group, the Communication, Education, and Prevention Committee, the CEPC committee, we've been reviewing how fire restrictions are being hosted and, across the U.S. and we've had different discussions, on it's been brought up to the group, and we've had, various discussions on, maybe we link, the various restriction websites to a page on the NIFC website, that can be all in one central location. That's come up. We've also are moving forward, and we're forming the CPC. We're forming a fire restrictions tasking group, to identify platform fields, geospatial elements, and for a possibly a nationally map-based fire restriction system, using the Southwest restriction site as an example. We've had an initial meeting with the Data Management Committee, to help identify what standards are required as a base for a national site. And, this is a large tasking, trying to pull this together nationally. It's a fairly large tasking, and, something that may take time to develop, but, it is moving forward. And I think some notifications went out the other day for the formation of this group. So that's where that's at. You know, we're trying to move this forward and looking at this nationally, and we have this site here. So that's the end of what I have for our presentation, and I think we've got time for questions.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we do have a couple questions. Cheryl has a two-parter. Do you feel that the change to the AGOL platform has made it easier to update the restrictions? And then secondly, do you feel you have a better participation from the non-federal agencies?
As far as that, the first part of it, you know, yeah, it's made it really, really simplified on making the restrictions, making the edits, making changes. And they're instantaneous. You know, once it's made, it's instantaneous on the public side. What the public is viewing, they see that immediately. So yeah, it has really simplified that. And what was the other second question?
Question was, do you feel you have better participation from the non-federal agencies with the sites? I'm assuming maybe like municipalities or anything down to the local level.
With the municipalities, we like I said that they weren't necessarily included on here, and that's a little bit more difficult to display the municipal restrictions. We're trying to include the counties under the state forestry, so that's something, you know, we can maybe try to work on to improve into the coming season. But we are able to look at that, and they do communicate, you know, trying to communicate when they go into restrictions. They're really pretty good at communicating, but when moving out of restrictions, it's a little bit slower response on, you know, when if they move out of restrictions to update that map or keep it at information current.
So I assume accuracy and timeliness is important by all parties involved. Have you had any challenges with folks keeping their stuff updated?
I think like the main part was going out of restrictions. That's where the challenge is, because as you're gearing up, you were going to restrictions. All that alertness is there, and we want to get that information out. And as you move out of them, that information seems to flow a little bit slower down to the editors or who's responsible for making those edits. So it could be a little bit slower. But we, you know, as far as going into restriction, we identify backup primary, who's a primary person for that zone, who's responsible for entering those information. And if they're not available, there's someone who can do it. And that's what's really nice about this site.
Sure. So almost like a standard operating procedure for each agency to
yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I got 2 minutes, and if folks have an interest in becoming involved in the CPC, or they can reach out to you guys, or I assume the list of agency reps is on the NWCG website.
Yeah. If they have information on they can reach out on for the Southwest site, for the CEPC site that's being built. That if there's an interest, if someone's interested in participating on that task group, they can probably email me on that. I'm a part of that, be a part of that tasking group. So if there's an interest, they can contact me and I can forward that information probably to Tina probably.
Great. All right, guys, thank you so much. Our next, we've got a 15-minute break. So our next session, a general session, starts at 4:15 Eastern time. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.